Olympics, and behind my house, I grew up on a farm, we had this little pond behind our house, and I was like, I'm just going to put my little winter boots, of course, we couldn't afford ice skates, so I'm going to put my boots on, and I'm just going to go out there and just skate my heart out, and I'm just out there skating, just so much skating, and I see my dad and my mom and my 4 siblings just looking outside of the farm windows at me like they know I'm talented. I'm gonna be a star, me and Tanya. Little did I know, you guys, it wasn't a pond. I found out later in life that we had a septic tank overflow. So I'm just shit skating. You know, and I think I'm doing like a triple sow cow. I'm doing a double doo-doo. My dad told me to practice or my skills would go to shit.
We are Moms Unhinged, a nationally touring stand-up comedy show. Join us in our podcast as we explore everything from motherhood, midlife crisis, marriage, divorce, online dating, menopause, and other things that irritate us. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Moms Unhinged podcast. We are joined today by Jené Suplee. Super excited. She has been, she just told me she did 45 shows since August with this new show she's been doing, but she's also been traveling all over the country with Moms Unhinged, and she has a 3-year-old daughter. I don't know how you're doing it.
I don't know either, but I'm here. I don't have pants on. That's you just see from the neck up. That's, efficiency.
Exactly.
I'm going to nap immediately after this. Like,
no time for pants. Who has that kind of pants time?
No, you have to pay me to wear pants. That's now every time. It's the only time I wear pants.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Well, we are so excited to talk to you. There's just so many things we can talk about. I feel like we just have to dive in because we were talking before we got on about growing up in a Midwestern cult.
Just a casual Friday morning convo. No big deal. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is so fun. Always happy to jump on and talk to you always. It's such a great, I love that we have the podcast going now. Yeah. So we were talking about my background, which comes up quite a bit in my comedy as well. Midwestern culty stuff. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you grew up in Northern Illinois, and now you're in Colorado. Escaped the Midwest, where I also did as well. It's a nice place to visit. So
not in the winter.
In the fall between these 4 weeks.
We have 1 month of duty in the Midwest.
So tell us a little bit more about what that was like, because your dad was like a spiritual leader. Is that like, did he call himself a pastor? What was that?
Yes, he called himself a pastor. I mean, as soon as I turned about 8, I was like, there's something going on here. So he was a spiritual leader, a pastor for all intents and purposes in different churches, religious communities, but it was actually before I was born because I have 3 older siblings and a younger brother, all named J for Jesus. Sidebar, but true. And I'm like, I don't think Jené was in the Bible, thank God. But anyway, so he started, and it was much more, I would say, like cultier, like right before I was born, because my siblings were actually kind of like raised in more of a commune type vibe. And then I was born into that. I was born in Northern Illinois in the commune in a trailer. And so we lived there until I was about 4. My dad was a pastor, and I think he was a security guard on the side too. So while my mom was, raising us, and so he just kind of got more and more and more extremist in his views as his his practice went on in spirituality. So yeah, by the time we moved to my hometown in Northern Illinois, we moved into a house and kind of start to set up roots. But he actually led a smallish Bible study continuously that kind of had a base of it, that those cult vibes were still a through line though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was sort of based in Christianity, but then
Yes.
it became more extremist was the situation. And
Yes.
what were some of the interesting little extremist things?
I was like, well, we only have 30 minutes, so let's dive right into drama. Just welcome to Mom's Unhinged and Jené's Trauma. No, so some of the extremists, so he believed that he was the 13th apostle for those of us listeners who knew kind of, have that background of Christianity in the Bible. There were 12 apostles. He thought he was kind of had been born to orchestrate kind of a new world order, and he thought he was the 13th apostle. He really kind of focused and structured the majority of his ideology around IBLP, which is the Institute of Basic Life Principles, which is the understanding. It's Christianity, but like extremists. You're kind of like naturalists, herbalists. You don't really believe in doctors, and there's a very strict hierarchy in that, meaning first it's God, then it's Jesus, so very strict, and then it's the father of the household.
Yeah.
Not the mother. Oh, no, not yet. The father of the household, the oldest brother, youngest brother, so all of the male people in the family, and then the mom, oldest daughter, youngest daughter. And guess who's the highest daughter, or the youngest daughter? Ooh. So one of the extremist things was I did all the dishes for the family. We were talking 7 people, all of the laundry.
Oh, wow.
So I was kind of the lowest on the totem pole,
Right.
and I just had 1,000 chores a day. I mean, the other kids did too, but it's like, I don't know, I've been listening to Game of Thrones again. And I'm like, I was just the peasant, like sweeping on the street. Like, it's like, it's very like Dothraki vibes. Like I was just like the lowest in the order, so I had just kind of a lot of manual labor, usually within the home, because women stayed within the home, boys did outside chores. Like I wasn't allowed to play sports. We didn't celebrate holidays. So like no trick-or-treating, no Christmas, that type of stuff. Yeah.
That's interesting. No Christmas too, because that's, feels like that's
it's a pagan holiday, Andrea. No. And for those listeners that are afraid, I clearly dissolved myself from said cult. I really never bought into it. Ever. I mean, as a young kid, so my dad and I kind of always butt heads. But one thing that I realized I had was at a very young age, like kind of a photographic memory, and I was homeschooled until I was 10. So I went to Bible school while I was homeschooled. So that was like really the only social interaction I had with other kids besides my 13,000 siblings. But I would win competitions in what's called memory verse. So shout out to Bible school kids. But you would do these competitions and you would memorize the whole Bible verse. They would only say the first 3 words, and you had to jump up. You had to jump up and recite full Bible verses from memory. I was like our district regional champion for like 7 years or some scary number. Yeah. So I think like look out, Gene Slurpees just crushing it, memorizing the literal Bible. So that's, I think, where like academia started to play in, because like even though I was homeschooled, I was kind of already reading at my older brother's level, and my mom just for efficiency was like, just learn your older brother's stuff. What are we doing here? So I just kind of did that.
Just jumped in. Yeah, because that's kind of what we were also talking about, is you went from cult to corporate to comedy, not your traditional
That's not a traditional trajectory. That's not how we all do it. Yeah, so I know it's funny. I tell the joke on stage now. I just kind of rewrote this and I'm really excited to do it, but talking more openly. And because that's kind of the challenge is like I'm a whole person. I have gone through years and years and years of therapy, literally deconstructing a lot of ideologies and conditioning. So like I am so okay. Like I am in the best place in my life I've ever been. But yeah, there's a lot there. So just kind of making the cult piece and what leads into that, because we all know what like happens on the sidelines. Like, yeah, it was just Little House in the Prairie. We were just building things and having fun. Like there's a lot of spiritual abuse in there, physical, there's a lot that goes into that. But I recently wrote the joke that it's like just to make it more approachable for audiences that like now that I have an MBA, I realized like my dad he only had one job and he only converted one of my siblings of the five of us into the cult. It's like you're running a business. That's a 20% return rate, bro. Like it's bad business. Like what are you doing? So but yeah, so just finding different ways to make that content a little bit more approachable.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And I think the thing that I think is so interesting about all of our upbringings is that when you're a kid, you kind of just think that that's normal. Like, oh, okay, everyone's doing this. And then you get a little older and you look around and you're like, oh, no. All right. You guys don't have to do the whole housework for the entire family or, or whatever.
I know. What are you guys doing with this time?
I know.
I just meal planned for 7 people and did 16 loads of laundry. Like
I'm 5.
This isn't preschool. These are preschool rules. Like, what are we talking about?
I know.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that, all of us have things that we need to unpack. I think therapy should be mandatory, actually. But like, I know.
Agreed.
Yeah. But I know it's always challenging with even as parents getting time to do anything self-care related. But it's good that you kind of moved through it and can really look at it from the other side. And then also adding in comedy to make it more accessible for people who might have more trauma around it,
Absolutely. And it is whenever I do any homeschool bits, like there's like a new bit that I'm doing where I talk about how I like was obsessed with the Winter Olympics and I love Tanya Harding. And I thought we had a pond behind my farmhouse and it was actually a frozen septic overrun. So I have the joke where I was like shit skating and I just had my little boots on. So there's just like all of these. And every single time I tell a story, I will have multiple people come up to me and say, I was homeschooled. Were you really? Oh my gosh, like that happened to me. I kind of escaped my dad's religion or my family's. I mean, and I had a really long conversation actually recently after a show from someone who was like, no, I escaped the cult. I was born into it and did not leave until I was 25. I was engaged when she was 17. Like all this crazy stuff. So it's just also I feel like it just opens like this beautiful door of we can talk about it and it's important to talk about it. It's important to talk through some of these things because otherwise it's it's like I didn't know that that happened to me. So it's kind of like my job as a comedian and a performer to be like, how can I make this like palatable for the people who were like, I grew up in a subdivision, not my mom loved me. Because I am that mom. Like, you know what I mean? Like now that my daughter's almost 3. And my husband are very active in like, how do we break these cycles and make sure she has that secure attachment? So that's something we're just like kind of actively doing. So one of my friends who was homeschooled, he was like, dude, do you realize like, are we afraid that our kids are gonna like not grow up so boring and like not have a character? Like then all that's the other side of the coin. But yeah, like
don't put them in a normal track. We need
Right.
we need a little spice in there.
Right. How are they going to develop a sense of humor? Not through safety. How dare you? No. So, but yeah, so that's kind of always the challenge is how to be authentic and honest and open. Because, now that I've kind of come on the other side of a vast journey of like healing and things like that, it's like, how do I make this approachable and funny? Because it's like, especially with Moms Unhinged, like I love our audiences so
Yeah.
much. They are
Yeah.
the best of the best of the best. And they're moms. So they're like,
Yeah.
I just want to hold you and give you a popsicle, sad little girl. So
I know.
it's like making that being like, I'm okay, guys. So I've really
Yeah.
kind of working on that part of the comedy and to making it more
Yeah.
relatable. Yeah.
Right. It is true because I think that the one thing that is challenging about comedy is it's tragedy plus time equals comedy, right? So you have
Right.
to get through it. You can't be out there like working through your really personal up
Absolutely.
there. You have to have that lens of reflection and hopefully some therapy in there mixed in there so you can see like what is the most ridiculous piece of this? What is kind of weird about this or
It's
wild about this?
I love that
Yeah.
you said that, Andrea, that's so spot on
Mhm.
because it's almost like, okay, if you want to do, not that you should just air this out for a little tester, but if you want to see where you are with grieving something, or if you're over something or
Yeah.
processed it or healed from it enough, like tell a joke about it. And if you're uncomfortable and the audience is kind of like crickets,
Like, oh,
you're not over it yet.
yes.
So, yeah, absolutely. That's so true
Yeah.
because I've
Yeah.
definitely done that where it's like you talk about something a little too soon and you're like, "Oh, okay, not yet. Thank you for
You know,
not quite yet. We're not there."
not
So,
healed. Not healed.
yeah,
I will work on it.
not healed. And it's funny because I actually started my comedy career 6 months after my dad passed. So that was, I mean, and there was a very like healing process to, while he was passing, and that felt just very restorative for me. I hope it did, for him. I knew that by the time even I got on stage the first time, I was going to be talking about my dad and my childhood.
Yeah.
And that was kind of part of the catharsis of processing it because I was like, I'm ready to go. Like I'm healing from
Yeah.
this. And it's never been awkward talking about my childhood or my dad.
Yeah.
I could
That's
say.
good. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Now, did you get into comedy because of that? Was that like part of the impetus there to get into it?
Kind of. I didn't realize what was gonna happen after he passed because we had actually been excommunicated, or I should say I'd excommunicated him like the last 5 years of his life or so, because he just couldn't get past that misogynist conditioning in himself, right? And
Yeah.
so I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna be a whole ass person and a whole ass woman, no, like it doesn't even matter if you're my dad. So I walked away from that and that was amazing. It was very freeing. I kind of started to build my life like on my own terms, which was lovely. And it wasn't until he passed that I was like, what am I doing? Like stand up has always been on my bucket list. I grew up watching SNL, like I have to do this. And yeah, so I think him passing was kind of a catalyst into like spring launching me into, I mean, an entire career because now
Yeah.
I'm a full-time creative person. So it's just like
Yeah.
just the whole trajectory and how everything is unfolded.
Yeah.
I couldn't have planned it better myself. Like
I know.
it's been crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so wonderful. I love that so much. And I love how things just seem to continue to rise to meet you where you're at because, you were in corporate and that was kind of, had a great job there and then just
Yeah.
kind of started moving into comedy and, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It all, I was like, it just unfolded so wonderfully and kissly. I mean, it was like, I felt like I was like climbing a mountain, then falling back down it. I was getting torn apart like halfway up. But yeah, so I had, as soon as I graduated college, put myself through school, started actually working in higher education technology, worked for a higher ed company who actually paid for my master's in full, which I'm like, free MBA. If there's anything I've learned as a poor kid, if it's free, I'm gonna take it. So I got my MBA from a very accredited university, and I finished that, and I like was continuing to do, the corporate thing. I moved up into director levels in tech, senior manager. So I led teams, went into a lot of different facets of technology, higher education, just kind of dove into like the corporate world side and had been doing that forever. And again, it's like my dad passed, and I was like, let me just take a break for a minute and kind of like restructure what this is. Luckily, I have an extremely supportive partner. Travis was with, you know what I mean? We were, I think, engaged at that point when my dad passed. And that was what, 6 years ago now. So yeah, and I was like, let's just do this. So I started taking stand-up classes actually. So I was like, I'm not a self-taught person. I can learn. I can learn just about anything. So let's let, someone else teach me. Shout out Christy Buckley at Rise.
Yeah.
And she always shouts out Moms Unhinged for
She's amazing. She's awesome.
She's amazing.
She's
Like such an amazing teacher, really finds the uniqueness in students. And she was like, so what's unique about you? What could be something that could stand out? And I was like, blah, 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 so just like all this childhood material. And I love it because she's not an instructor who was like, that's not going to be relatable to this person, or you shouldn't talk about that. She was like, talk about all of it and let's frame it into joke content. So my first 5 minutes was at a student showcase. It's the first time I really did stand up ever. And I mean, it's a very welcoming crowd too, because it's your family, your friends of the other students. But it just went really well. And I still tell those same jokes. It's just that, again, shout out to Christy Buckley. She helped me like structure them. And it's just, she's a good writer. So, but yeah, it's been, I hit my 5-year mark basically, because the first time I did stand up, I was like, February of 2020, here I come, let go. And then I was like, the world funding, cool. So, but luckily I was able to get into an all-female writing group, which I mean, other, Moms Unhinged as well. Ashley NG was in that group. And it was just crazy because that group was just like our lifeblood. We were all new comedians. We were kind of running jokes together, practicing. So then when basically right around like 2021, which is like, I kind of count that being when I started, because I literally did one show and like it was done.
That was
the world
hope I can do that again someday.
I know. I was like, well, at least I did the bucket list thing and I did it once. If it's all over. So it was crazy because I still had my corporate job. So I do feel for like a lot of my now comedian friends who were full-time comedians during the pandemic, because I still had my full-time job. My husband did. We were very, very fortunate in that sense. But kind of once it opened back up, I just kind of hit the ground running, started getting booked, started moving and shaking, and then I got pregnant, and I was like, I was a comedian, and I was like, that's my career. And then that again, it's like one, if you just follow what you're supposed to be doing, it's like one door opened after another, which is lovely because I remember I sent in my audition tape for Moms Unhinged, and I was 9 months pregnant performing. And I was just like, well, if this is the real me, this is where we're at. And I was so fortunate to start working with you. So it's just been, and now I have this awesome baby, and we're just, rocking it.
Yeah.
So it's been
awesome. Yeah. And you guys have your husband he has kind of a job that he can schedule, and you have, it seems like scheduling can be kind of a challenge, but you guys make it all work.
Yeah, he works in automotive. So he does body repair for an auto shop. And it's crazy. I mean, because he just went back to work because he took almost 2 years off and was a stay-at-home dad. So it was lovely. It's like so funny. He was born, like, he didn't know. And then our daughter was born, and he had this like crazy paternal instinct, like, I don't want to leave this baby. So I was like,
know.
don't, dude, like, don't. So I was still working my full-time corporate job. So I supported us financially while he, supported our daughter. And
Yeah.
I worked from home, and we spent all of this amazing time together. I was still doing Moms Unhinged shows on the side and kind of
Yeah.
just fitting in comedy where I could. And then as of recent, just in the last year, he's like, I'm ready to go back to work. She has a whole ass personality.
Yeah.
She's telling me no, like, we need a professional. So so we've started to put her in daycare for a few hours a day, and I moved into so I quit my corporate job, and because I was like turning down opportunities of Moms Unhinged, I was turning down, just said because I didn't have the time. And then this past year, Andrea, we've been going wild, and I'm so happy. So
That's so great. I love that so much. I love that so much. It's perfect. And one of the other things I love to ask is about an unhinged moment you've had. Could be just personally with your daughter. It sounds like you got a lot of unhinged moments with your family, but we've kind of covered that.
No, she's almost 3, so she is just naturally unhinged. I literally, like, she was jumping off the couch, like, grabbed her, and I was like, okay, still got the reflexes. I still got it. But so everything is always unhinged.
It's wild how they're trying to kill
crazy.
themselves all the time. I'm like,
All the time.
how are you guys all still alive? You guys are just go wild.
Luckily I've recently invested in a bean bag. So now she just like base jumps off of the couch onto that. It's beauty. So any toddler moms invest in a bean bag, and that's not a designated jumping spot. Otherwise it's broken faces will happen. But so the unhinged moment that we were talking about, Andrea, that has actually now been like one of my closing jokes because it's so outrageous, was before I had my daughter. I had an IUD for 10 years. So 2 different IUDs, 5 years and 5 years.
Yeah.
And during one of the procedures, they give you a pill called a uterine relaxer. It's a pill about the size of my full closet door, not small. And I was like, ooh, big pill, tiny mouth. It sounds like a challenge. I swallow it in my mouth hole. And then I get to the appointment, and she's like, you took that vaginally, right? And I was like, nope. So I swallowed something called a uterine relaxer in my mouth. And like, I don't work in corporate anymore. I was so busy in between meetings. I'm like, doesn't even matter what the pill bottle says. Like, in my mouth? Like, what?
Who's got time to read? Who's got time to read directions? I'm not a big reader of directions either. I'm just like, okay, let's go. Check, check, check. Let's go. And then, you've got to get to the appointment. And
why would a pill be going into my stomach before getting an IUD in? Who knows? Like, I love the joke because, like, the friends that have known me since then, they're like, you're telling that? Like, you were scared. Like, it was uterine relaxed.
Terrifying.
Everything relaxed but my uterus. Like, it was crazy. And apparently, that's the best part, was she was like, I was like, well, okay, problem solving mode. What's going to happen? And she was like, who knows? No one's done this before. And I was like,
no one has done that before.
And she's like, not since I've worked here, and I've been here for 17 years. I was like, just call me a record breaker. I don't know. So anyway, they were just kind of like, I don't know, sit it out, see what happens. So I just like had a massive sweat attack. I was sweating.
How scary.
It was crazy. I was totally fine. But I was like, well, efficiency, I'm here. Can I just get the procedure done? They're like, no, we highly recommend the uterine relaxer for your comfort. So went back in a week later, put it in the right place, figured it out. Let's
Oh
look
my
at these directions this time.
Oh my
So
gosh, lesson learned. Little, yeah, definitely read the directions, ladies.
yeah, so that's my well, I should say recent. That's my long-standing like unhinged moment where
Yeah,
it's
I love that because it is just so we've all done something so ridiculous like that where you're like, why didn't I just take one moment to just pause and think things through?
yeah.
But no, we're busy. We are busy doing a million things. So
The best part is like when I do that joke with Moms Unhinged and I tell that story of Moms Unhinged audiences, there's always a nurse. There's always someone in
yeah.
pharmaceuticals. There's always someone that comes up and was like, that is not what you do with that. And I'm like, clearly, clearly. I'm like, it was the wrong hole. Like we all know. Like so it's just funny
Oh,
where they're like,
funny.
that's dangerous. I was like,
So
it
funny.
felt like
Yeah.
I wasn't doing it to be rebellious.
Right. And
Your mistake.
that is what I love about the stories. We can all relate to something like that. Like, so it's just so great. So, Jené, this has just been so much fun.
Yeah.
Tell our audience where they can find you to follow you.
Yes, you can find me. You can hit me up at my website, Jené Suplee Comedy. You can also find me on Instagram at TikTok, at Jené Suplee Comedy. Yeah, I'm sometimes posting in between all of
Between your
that.
45 shows. Yeah.
The 45 shows between now and August, and
Yeah.
I'm so excited after this current run I'm doing with this showcase. I'm excited to rejoin Moms Unhinged.
Yay.
Yeah,
Yay,
it'll
that's
be
awesome.
so fun in November.
Yeah, great. Well, we'll have those links in the show notes, everyone. So thanks again, Jené, and
Thank you, Andrea.
see you guys later.
Always a joy, my friend. Bye.
Thanks for listening, and make sure you subscribe, share, and follow us on the socials to get more comedy clips.